What's up there, niece and nephew? It's your big uncle coming to you live from Southeast Asia. As you know, I'm here today with my business partner. There is a lot going on in Vietnam these days, guys. It is getting kind of hectic over there. It's a really complicated time to be in Vietnam, to be doing anything with business visas, to do anything with employment. It's a really, really complicated time, and there's so much bad information online. There's so many people who are self-styled experts but don't have any Vietnamese relationships. They just base their opinions off of, I don't know, rumors they've heard or things they've heard. Well, since I started my business, I've always worked with local people. Every country I go to, it's essential to make local contacts. And today we're going to have you have a chat with my business partner in Vietnam. Me and this guy have done a lot of business together. We've established trust through some very rocky times. And he's somebody I feel very confident about. And I feel very confident about his word. So we're going to hear today about all the updates, and we're going to try to dispel some rumors, some gossip, and clear up what's really going on with Vietnam immigration and how that affects you as a foreigner living in Vietnam. So first, I'm going to start the topic off with my partner. We're going to discuss what are the most current updates.
Hello guys, nice to meet you again on the topic of immigration, relocation, or living in Vietnam. And accordingly, if you are having a plan to come to visit Vietnam, or you are already living in Vietnam, there is a lot of new updates that you can hear from the newspaper, the media, and some agents about the new policy with the foreigners. So today we will have a meeting for some of the new updates, and you can plan for your working or for your living in Vietnam.
All right, sounds good. So for those of you who don't know, after COVID, Vietnam began an anti-corruption investigation that has taken on like a very important in government policy. It's taken on a very big level of effort to rid the country of corruption. And this is creating a lot of bureaucratic problems that affect foreigners. Also, there was recently a shooting, something in the Dak Lak province, and basically that is going to have an effect on immigration as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how the shooting will affect immigration and how the policy since the end of COVID, how it's changed immigration in Vietnam?
Yes, actually, most of you shall complain regarding Vietnam policy of immigrations, but above all, Vietnam is still an attractive place to come to live and work. And if you read the media during this day, there is a terrible, awful shootings in the center of Vietnam. It's a very big province. So we are not talking about who did it or who planned for this, but as a foreigner, you are indirectly affected by this event. Like the government is discussing on extending the tourist visa or add more country to the e-visa list. But with shootings, they may put it aside and will reject all of the policy for the foreigners, because a lot of foreigners comes to Vietnam but with the bad purpose, or they are overstay, they work illegally, and for the news comings like those ask for the tourist visa, it will be more difficult. For the business visa, yes, immigration will check the sponsor, which means the company who submit for your entry request, and even for those who conduct border run every month, because the land border between Vietnam with Cambodia and Laos has been tightened. So the officer at the border shall ask you some question like where are you from, which purpose do you want when you are coming to Vietnam, or why do you do many border runs like this. It's really a fact for the foreigners now.
So essentially, even cross-border runs for these people who are just living endlessly in Vietnam on visa runs over land borders, this is going to become a more challenging thing for them. And occasionally they may be stopped and occasionally they may be rejected. Is that right?
Yes, we also heard from our clients and our friends is that why they are applying for the e-visa, they might be rejected after the fifth or the sixth time, like so many times in a row continuously. So now immigration pay more time to check a profile like the passport, like your nationalities and your purpose to come to Vietnam, and how many times have you been in Vietnam?
Okay, so this is a very big change in policy. It's very different than Vietnam's policies before COVID.
Yes, actually, we would like the Vietnam's government. We would like to improve our tourism and hospitalism, but at the same time, the Ministry of Public Security has to ensure the safety of the people. So, first of all, we can know that for the border runs, it might be more challenging for the foreigners, and if you conduct a lot of overrun and with the or you are the overstay case, it will be more difficult for you to get an exit stamp because they will ask why you are overstay and how do you live here in Vietnam.
So people who have been living doing these border runs between Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, they're going to need to find a long-term visa solution if they want to stay in Vietnam.
Yes, I have to agree with you because if you do visa run for many times and continuously, then the immigration might have their concern. That's what is your true purpose to come to Vietnam. Like, is it a tourist visa indeed, or is it just a way that you could stay? And in some big cities, the police is checking the apartment and the private house rented by the foreigner to check if they have the TRC or just stay on a tourist visa.
Right. So they're actively looking at this. This is something that's going to be in the focus of the government's interests over the next coming months.
Yes, some of the media are talking about that. The Congress of Vietnam is considering for to extend the duration, the length of the tourist visa and the e-visa. However, I think with the shootings and if you want to have it come into practice, it will take months to months for this.
So for those of you who love Vietnam and you're not broke, get at us because we can help you stay in Vietnam and we can help you do it legally. And we can make sure that you're safe, you're looked after. We have minders who will drive you around, introduce you to aspects of the business process, explain it to you, take care of you for things like border runs, take care of you for things like visits to immigration. We make the entire process seamless as possible for Vietnam. So just bear that in mind, and you can reach us on the Facebook fan page. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about where you see Vietnam going in terms of procedure, right? It's becoming more electronic. Things are being done now through the new portal. Is that 100% or?
Yes. First of all is for the normal e-visa portal where you can apply for a 30-day e-visa. It is the same system that you ever use. And actually it has some improvement like the payment gateways, the speed, and normally for the e-visa, it should process within 3 up to 5 days. So if you have planned to come to Vietnam, you need to register, apply for an e-visa in advance. And please remember that e-visa is not work on weekends. So if you you should submit for it at least 10 days of 2 weeks in advance before your arrival to Vietnam. It is better. And for the business, actually all of the normal submission for business visa and extensions or the TRC has been put online, which means that the company needs to apply via a portal. So we can call it is more control and management from the government to see if a company follow the strict rule or the process of the government. And with the new portal for company business visa, immigration can check the companies and check the foreigner better, and it requires that the company needs to have a good understanding and knowledge on how to make a submission for the 3-month business visa.
Okay. So it is becoming more streamlined. It's becoming more organized, the process, and it's becoming more channeled through the internet portal now. So it's the days of visa agents just being able to go and take care of things is coming to an end.
Yes, only the company could submit for the entry now using USB that we call the digital signature or the CA token. verified proof of the company. So it is hardly that the company give this token to an agent to submit on their behalf, because it will contain a lot of things, and this is the key to log in many government portal. With the agents, still we can support you. I mean, all of the agents on the market now, we can help you on the process, but with some process, there is only a way that you go directly to the immigration to ask for the solution.
Okay. Well, I think what we do is quite different than just what an agent does, because generally speaking, we work with clientele that are looking specifically to set up companies and are looking for more of a VIP service, whereas the majority of the agents that operate, they're just middleman, basically. They kind of just go down to immigration and maybe they know someone. The people we work with are higher up, and, you know, we've been able to help a lot of people. So I think, you know, there is a difference between what we do and like regular, like run-of-the-mill visa agents you might find on a Facebook page. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between what we do and what a regular visa agent would do?
Well, actually, the key important information you have to know that for the long-term visa, you need a sponsor. So a sponsor here meaning that a company you work for, or a company you have an investment, or the company which you are the owner. So for the investment visa, many people still are talking about the minimum investment, the capital to have the investor visa. But with our experience, when we make the investment certificates for our client, if you invest below 3 billion Vietnam đồng, which is equivalent to 130k US dollar, then you are asked to submit for a work permit as a shareholder of the company. You will not be granted the investor visa. So this is the way that the immigration make a filter. So it is not like before, that's just what with 10k or 20k that you can earn an investor visa. And do not believe in the saying that you could easily withdraw the capital you transfer, because if you want to get the investor visa, you have to transfer to a specific account managed strictly by the bank. And it is not like you transfer, then you withdraw, then you close the company, but you still owe the investor visa. It is not like the things. It's immigration managed more strictly than you ever imagine.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, guys. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is like a lot of visa agents are just going to go down to immigration. They're going to try to see who they can work with. We know the law. That's the main difference, I think. I mean, you know, I've been working with my partner here now for more than a year. None of my clients have ever had any problems in Vietnam that he hasn't been able to find solutions to. We've even found creative solutions to people who have overstayed. And guys, if you're thinking about coming to Southeast Asia, let me strongly recommend that you do not overstay a visa in any of these countries. Trust me, it's never going to end well, because you don't know the local politics. You don't know what's going on at the time. And, you know, you're just somebody who's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Be responsible with your visas. If Vietnam wants you to have a company and be an investor or be an employee as an English teacher or something, then that's the way it is right now. Don't fuck around. We don't fuck around. Everything we do legally. Can we talk a little bit about the current situation with overstaying? Because one of our clients specifically is in a real crazy overstay situation, and we're helping him out with that. Can you tell me what's going on around people who are overstaying and what their situation is right now?
Yes, just for the overstay, there is many reasons that which lead to the overstay case. Like you are using the fake documentation to enter Vietnam or to stay in Vietnam. You apply for a job in a company, but that company could not afford to rent you the work permit, but they forget about your visa, because without visa you cannot stay. So again, work permit is different with the visa or the TRC, temporary resident card. Each of these documentation is managed by a separate department. Like the work permit is issued by Labor Department, while the visa, the TRC, is managed by immigration. And some companies, they just follow with the work permit submission, but they forget about extending or renew your business visa. And for some case, you just transfer or change your job from an A company to a B company, but the B companies, they do not have the knowledge that if you transfer to a new employer, then you have to exit and enter under the business visa of the new employer.
So guys, this is something you don't hear very often online, but here's a reality that you might not want to hear, but you should hear if you're going to come out here and live in Vietnam. At the moment, it's taking a really long time to get the work permit. Like it's ridiculous because of all the issues that are going on with the government. It's very bureaucratic at the moment. And the business visa they give you, it's not long enough to cover the time until the work permit gets finished. So you have to have a strategy. You can do what I'm doing, where I went in on a business visa. I hung out for a few months in a beach town, and then I just went back to Cambodia to wait for my work permit to finish, because I can get a 6-month visa here very easily. And I like living here. I don't know. I enjoy Phnom Penh. It's one of my favorite places in Southeast Asia. And I'm going to wait. And once my work permit gets approved, I'll most likely return to Vietnam. Or you can also just stay in Vietnam, but be aware that you're going to have to cross a border every 3 months until the work permit finishes. So can you tell us right now, when they cross the border, if they have a strong nationality like UK, US, Europe, can they just return on another business visa? Or do they need to now go to a Vietnamese embassy or send like one of our agents to a Vietnamese embassy for them?
Currently, per required by the immigration, if you are taking the business visa, you have to apply it and take it at the embassy for sure. So in some case, there is a little chance that you could get it via an agent. I admit that. But normally, if you just want to have a short trip, so going by yourself to the embassy, it is better for you rather than the agent, because you don't know which agent is good and which will be another scam for you. Additionally to a work permit situation, I would like to share is during this day, as you know, on the newspaper, the government is talking about the high rate of unemployment. So it's very hard for a company in big cities submit for a work permit for an expert or for an employer, because the labor debt will ask the company to make an explanation why they have to use the foreigners rather than using the local people. So this is also a challenge for the companies who would like to process for those foreigners. If you want to use an agent just to grant you a work permit, because it will take months, 2 months for a company to explain to the labor debt and get their approval for using a foreigner for their company.
All right, guys, let me explain a little to you about the history of agents in the last couple of years. So before the pandemic, agents could pretty much facilitate anything in Vietnam. You could go find yourself a visa agent, and as long as you trusted them and you had a good working relationship, they could probably get you almost anything, any kind of visa you'd want. Fast forward to the pandemic, Vietnam's a closed country. The situation is getting kind of out of control. There's a change in government, and now things are a lot different, right? So since the pandemic, there's been some things that have gotten easier, and there's been some things that have gotten more difficult. But more and more, you see that the visa agents, they really can't do anything anymore. They don't really have any power anymore. And that's, again, why I said what we do is very different than what a visa agent does. Because, for example, my partner here, he does structuring companies. He can do blacklist removals. He can do investment. He can do real estate. He can do import, export. He can do legal. He can get almost anything that you would need done within the Vietnam. And that's not something that some visa agent selling tours on Boy Vian is going to be able to do, guys. There's a very big difference between what we're doing, where we're facilitating people for business. We do help people who are teachers who just, need to have some visa issues, things like this, that like a normal agent hasn't been able to resolve for them. But what we do is very, very different. Can you tell us a little bit from your perspective about the way you think that the visa agents are going to go? Are they going to disappear? Are they going to be replaced by more professional organizations like ourselves? Just your opinion.
Yes, thanks for your question. I think it's a very good question. From my concerns with the new method of management from the immigration, so the visa agents or the tour agents, they have to, how to say, improve themselves to meet with the new inquiry or requirement from the client, and the client will require more. So that is also how to make us different from each other, because our core value is the business, long-term business. So we will have overall and bigger perspective for your relocation, mobilizations and immigration matter than just a visa agent, because they just consider your entry and exit and staying from the perspective of a visa agent only. How to say, a visa agent, they are not specific in processing a work permit with relating to labor code, human resources management, or other things, something like this, or an investor visa. According to the law, you will have investor visa if you transfer enough capital, but they don't know how to use, how to withdraw, how to make a replacement of the capital if you don't want to work with that company anymore, or you want to exit Vietnam and withdraw your capital transferring.
Right. So that's another thing, guys, that you can get out of your fucking head, that it's going to be real easy to take your money out of Vietnam once you bring it here. Because be honest with you guys, it's probably not going to be. You will eventually get your money most likely, but it's going to not be a smooth process. Can you tell them a little bit about the process if they did try to move capital into Vietnam and then decided later to remove that capital? What makes it complicated?
How to say, the parties which make this complicated is the State Bank of Vietnam, because they manage all of the incoming and outgoing foreign exchange or foreign transferring. So if you want to make an investment to a current company, it will be easier than to start with a new company. But everything should go through the Department of Investment and Planning. Once they issue your investment registration certificate, you need to make a bank transferring. Then after within 90 days, so after you make a bank transferring, then you can bring the ERC and IRC, enterprise registration certificate and investment registration certificate, and with the bank statement that you make a transfer to immigration to ask for the investor visa. And this money is located in a specific account called the foreign lending account or foreign currency account. And this account has to be doing quarterly or semi-annual report to the State Bank of Vietnam. How do the company, how do you use that capital? Because this is the anti-money laundering and terrorist supporting policy of the State Bank of Vietnam. So it is not easy as you just transfer and take it out. You have to prove to the commercial bank which is the purpose of taking that capital away from the account, and if you have the plan to repay which you take from the capital account.
So guys, it is not a smooth, easy process. And I would not personally want to do it because I have used the Vietnamese banking system, and I personally choose to bank in Cambodia. I find that it's easier for me to do transfers and to receive payments, send payments. It's never hard to send money to Vietnam, guys. It can be very difficult to get money out of Vietnam. And your account can suddenly be frozen based on missing certain documents, and you may not be notified. You may not know that it's even happened, and you'll have to go down and try to get it worked out and then produce documents. That's another advantage of working with us, is that once we set you up with the long-term visa, which is going to be your TRC, your multiple entry TRC, you'll have a work permit and you'll be able to have a bank account, and we'll make sure that everything runs smoothly and we'll assist you with the bank account. But for someone who's just trying to do this by themselves, this can be a really confusing and messy process dealing with Vietnamese banks, correct?
Yes. It's actually the State Bank of Vietnam strictly manage all of the transactions relating to foreigners or from the overseas. Like even you just send $100 US dollar outside of Vietnam for a friend who is in Malaysia, in Cambodia, for example, most of the bank will reject your money transferring request as it is not aligned with the purpose of transfer money outside of Vietnam.
Yeah, and they make it really difficult, guys. It's a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's applicable also with Western Union or MoneyGram, as those companies, those financial companies, they have to put their counter with the bank, and all of the transaction has to follow Vietnam policy on foreign currency.
Yeah, and they really enforce it and are strict about it. So that's one of the advantages to living in Vietnam, but banking in Cambodia. So we can help you with that, guys, these little nuances, because we also have services for Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. We're working on Malaysia. My partner has just found some contacts for Malaysia. So we're going to be offering a Malaysia business service as well, because we realize it's an important market and we don't want to not include it. So if there's other things that need to be done, like for example, you're opening a company in Vietnam, but you need to go to Cambodia, I have agents in Cambodia that can facilitate at the Vietnamese embassy. It's, you know, we can assist you while you're in Cambodia as well. And it's the same if you're coming from Thailand and you want to do something in Cambodia, visa wise, contact us as well, because we can facilitate for anything that's within Cambodia as well. We have contacts up in Laos, which is a great country, and it's absolutely on the rise. So far, nobody is looking at Laos, and Laos is a pretty amazing country as well. Vietnam is still, in my opinion, one of the best values for cost of living. Like the quality of the food you can get and the accommodation you can get for the price is still extremely cheap, as long as you don't live in Saigon. Saigon is very expensive, but Saigon is where you do business and you earn money. So as a teacher, you may want to live in Saigon. In your opinion, if you're a digital nomad, or someone who wants to open a company with us and stay in Vietnam long term, where would you recommend they position themselves? And it would be good if you could also talk about the differences in the immigration departments and how sometimes they're more grouped in with the North, like even in Nha Trang, for example.
Well, actually, it's a geological management of the immigrations. And for example, each province, they have their own immigration department to manage the resident status of a foreigners. Like you are living in Ho Chi Minh City. So if you want to extend a company in Ho Chi Minh City, want to extend your residency, like your visa, or if they would like to submit for your temporary resident cards, then they have to go to Ho Chi Minh City Department of Immigration. So the same with Hanoi. But for the entry visa, and for some of the like overstay, some of the sensitive nationalities, then the department we call general department shall has the power to solve it, or we call the decision maker. So in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, there are two general immigration to solve everything relating to the foreigner. If province or the city department of immigration does not have the power to solve it or to give a decision.
Okay. So is it better for them to live in a specific region, or does it not matter as long as everything's legal?
Well, actually, with like local people, we are saying, or Asians saying, is that the more you are near the sun, the brighter you are. So if you are located in the province or the city near Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, which is closer to the general immigration department, then for some case, you could ask for the immediate support from them.
Okay, I see. So basically, the closer you are to the center of power, the more you're affected by whatever that area's policy is.
Well, normally they are the same. They are the same in the responsibilities, the power, or the function. However, the biggest one is the general immigration in Hanoi, because they are in the citadel, right? So for some case, even that the general immigrations in Ho Chi Minh City, they could not give a decision, then they will ask a company or a foreigner to come directly to Hanoi general immigration, I can explain like this. For example, I'm a Vietnamese and I have the valid Korea visa, but I have to change my passport because it expired, but the Korea visa is still valid. Then in the new passport, you will need an observation from immigration that you are having a valid Korea visa. So in this case, in Ho Chi Minh City, general immigration will not train you the observation page, but only in Hanoi, they could give you the observation page.
So that's much more clear. So guys, Hanoi is basically the final word on any kind of rejection or any kind of approval. It's kind of like the supreme immigration. But I would imagine that the Ho Chi Minh City immigration is the one that does the most visas and foreigners. Am I right?
Yes, correct. So actually, I just say that only in some of the most critical case that Ho Chi Minh City should send to Hanoi for opinion. But most of the case, Ho Chi Minh City general immigration could solve with them.
Okay, I see. So if you're a digital nomad or if you're an investor or like a crypto guy and you just want to live in Vietnam, as long as your paperwork is legal, it doesn't matter whether you live in the north or south. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, actually, after some of events like the meeting of the Congress to extend the visa, the shootings, the new portal of immigration, I believe that only those agents that have a general view or have a deep understanding and expertise in visa and immigration will ensure you a long-term visa, and do not just listen from some agent without any, the cloudy consultations or the unclear process for your case. Good agent will show you step-by-step process and like how many steps and what you have to provide the agent and what you got for each step. That should be a good agent for you.
So assuming that they do everything and it's all legitimate and they're legal, can they just live in Ha Long City if they want to, or can they live in Hoi An if they want to?
Well, yes, according to the law, if you have the TRC, technically you have to work at the place, the province or the cities which is registered with a work permit. But if you are on a business trip, then you are free to travel around and stay around as long as you still work for that company. It is no matter where you live, but do remember to do the registration with the neighbor police when you stay. Like you work for a company in Ho Chi Minh City, but you are doing a video or a TV series about Hạ Long, then yes, you are able to travel to Hạ Long, stay there month to month, but you need to register with a police squad or ask the landlord, the apartment manager to register with the neighbor police and just to bring your TRC card because they will manage you.
Okay, guys, so this is the difference between just trying to do shady business visas with like a tour agency and actually working with people like us who are going to set you up legally. So you don't need to hide out in Saigon and worry about, are they checking, immigration, or are they doing this or that? You'll be working with people who take care of everything for you, and you can live in whatever province you want to live in. And our partners will find ways to explain why you're there if necessary, like, for example, guys, you could be working for a company in Saigon and then living in Hoi An, but your job is to be a blog writer or a copywriter for a tech company in Saigon, and they want you to do it from Hoi An, right? Because of the aesthetic. So these are all like legitimate reasons why you as a business owner would be able to live in a better destination than one of the large urban areas. Now, some people love living in Saigon. I mean, if you're looking to party and you're looking for girls and you're looking for nightlife and for entertainment, that's kind of the place where it is. Saigon is like New York for Vietnam, But if you're looking for a more laid back lifestyle, then my suggestion would be to check out the area between like Nha Trang or even Moi Ne, like Moi Ne to like Da Nang. That seems to be the spot where the most foreigners really like it. And there's a lot of beautiful little beach towns that are not on the radar for tourists. And if you have a TRC, like my partner said, you could legally live in a small beach town And there's all kinds of reasons why you would be there.
So, actually, as I told you on from the beginnings, above all of the complaints, some difficulties, some challenges to do business or to travel to Vietnam, and even some people recommend us Vietnam should have the retirement visa for those who want to spend their life in Vietnam for retirement. Vietnam is still an attractive place for the foreigners who come to do business, and we have the low cost laborers, we have reasonable living costs, and we have a lot of tourist points. So we have a lot of potential for you to do business or to just stay in Vietnam and work around. So when you have the plan to come to Vietnam or consider to do your business in Vietnam, so we are confident that we could be a place for you to get some of the reference.
Yeah, and guys, don't be too scared off by the crazy stuff and what we're telling you about the bureaucracy and what's going on in the country, because if you have enough money, it doesn't matter. It won't affect you. We'll just make sure it doesn't affect you. We'll make sure you can live in Vietnam legally. We have to follow the law, but we can at least take care of all the bureaucratic stress for you, all the other problems that come along with trying to stay. If you have enough dough, you're going to be good. Vietnam's great. You don't need to worry about the visa because our guys will take care of it for you. And if you want to live in a beach town and have a really, really inexpensive quality of life, you can do that. The only thing that Vietnam's going to be harder for is for people who really don't have any money. Like if you're broke, it's going to be a lot more shitty for you in Vietnam. Like you're going to want to look at maybe Cambodia or Laos, because Thailand is somewhat expensive to stay for a long time. And I believe Vietnam is going to become the same. I mean, it already is, guys. You think they're going to let you keep crisscrossing the borders forever? I just don't see it. That's just my opinion from living out here for a really long time. If you're looking for a low cost country, I would say have a look at Cambodia, have a look at Laos. But more and more, the people that are going to be coming to Vietnam are the people who have some money and they just really enjoy the lifestyle. But guys, it's a good lifestyle. There's so many nice places to live in Vietnam. The food is very good, very high quality for not much money. The culture is very cool. One of the coolest cafe cultures I've ever seen in the world, especially up in Hanoi. Cafes from like 60, 70 years ago, and people are still chilling in them. It's crazy. I mean, I love Vietnam. And if you have some money, Vietnam is awesome, guys. And we can sort it out for you. So it's not going to be really stressful. And we can help you with other things like banking, and we can advise you on how to do business in the region in general. But I would say for people who don't have a lot of money, more and more, you're either going to be an employee in Vietnam, married to someone in Vietnam, or you're not going to be in Vietnam. Would you agree?
Well, yes, additional to the strict policy, some people saying that Vietnam has a very, how to say, complicated administrative work when they are doing business to Vietnam or want to get married. A lot of paper to do, a lot of things to process. But the stricter the procedure is, then the more protection you will receive from the governments, the authorities, or even is that a law? Because in Vietnam, if you have do things from the beginnings, which is a challenge or a lot of things that is request, then you will there's no need for you to worry about the final circumstance.
Right. So if everything's done the way it's supposed to be done, and you're working with people like us who are going to take care of everything for you, then you're not going to worry about these stresses.
Yes, correct. So most of the agents are doing on the paperwork to reduce your stress and your headache if you want to open or establish a company in Vietnam, or just to submit for visa.
Guys, I think this is the difference between just visa agents and consulting, right? Like there's a different understanding of legalities. Like I just had a bunch of random questions for my partner today, and every single time we had a clear, concise, understandable answer. He's also has some experience working with more Western customer service. So he understands that you're worried and that you're freaking out, and he tries to keep you calm and reassure you and actually communicate. And that's one of the most difficult things about doing business in Vietnam, is the communication can be really problematic depending on who you're working with. So sometimes it's difficult for the foreigners to understand if they're working with someone honest or if they're being taken advantage of. And, it puts them in a difficult spot. So I think more and more, if you're really serious about living in Vietnam long term, it's better to invest the money and work with people who have a proven track record like us. We have references you can talk to. We have a Facebook fan page, YouTube channel. We're up on Instagram. I mean, we're widely out there, guys. Like, it's just a small family business. My wife and I do the majority of this content creation, and we do all the social media stuff ourselves. So, this is not like a big company or corporation. And, we've been out here helping people come to Vietnam for quite a long time. I started helping people get jobs. And then during COVID, I helped people get into the country. And now here we are today. We're still helping people. And I think it's something that for me is definitely personal, because I love Vietnam. Like, I nearly died in Vietnam. Vietnam saved my life. Vietnam helped me make my business. I can never pay back to this country what it's done for me. So even though I came at a different time when things were a lot different, it doesn't mean it's still not that same place, and it can still have that potential to change your life. Would you agree?
Yes, actually, I have a friend, and it takes him months to decide whether he would live in England or he should travel to another developing country to earn money and to find some challenge. And he asked me a lot regarding like visa policies, laws on company establishing, law on accounting regulations, law on labor code, a lot of things before he decided to move to Vietnam. And actually, after 2 years, then he decided that he will open a restaurant in Vietnam, and now it's kind of works because he know on regulation relating to like hygiene, like tax, like brands, restaurant management regulations.
Oh, so this guy was well prepared before he decided to move to Vietnam, and he still ended up doing it. And is he successful now? Does he have a business here now?
Yes, actually, as you told us on, is that Vietnam is costing more to live and to work because the government would like to improve the living standards, so the cost of living will be increased accordingly. This is the logic. So if you decide to live in Vietnam or to work in Vietnam, you need to prepare some capital. You need to find or to get consultancy from a good agent regarding the policies of visa, immigration, or if you establish a company, would you bring your family to Vietnam to live, or other related questions. You need to have a good reparations and just list down all the questions, look for some reference or some well-known agents to get all of your information regarding your travel. I have a lot of cases that they book the flight even knowing how to submit for the e-visa, or if their nationality is in the e-visa list. This is not good for your travel, and they have to pay a lot of money for the expedited visa by the end of the day.
No, I believe it, man. I've seen it myself. I've seen lots of problems around people thinking they can just show up in Vietnam. Unfortunately, that's one thing I think that hurts tourism here a lot is the e-visa system and the bureaucracy around it. But it is what it is. And at the moment, this is the situation, guys. And it's probably not going to change anytime soon. So, I mean, if anything, it seems like the country is going to become more and more strict, at least for the foreseeable future. So I don't think people who are sitting there waiting and thinking like, oh, it's going to get better at some point. I think these people are kind of denying like reality, they're denying the writing that's on the wall. So the most important thing to remember now is things are not getting easier. So work with the right people. Don't fuck around in Vietnam because it can become expensive and messy and bureaucratic. And if you can be in situations where you don't know what to do and you might make the wrong choice, and then you take too long to do something and the problem gets worse. So it's just not a good time to fuck around in Vietnam. If you have money, it's still awesome. I mean, I love Nha Trang. I was staying out there for a few months on my business visa while we do my work permit. And oh my God, I had such a good time. Once the TRC gets approved, I may go back there and make it one of my home bases. Actually, it's so nice. So don't think that Vietnam's not awesome, guys. Vietnam is freaking awesome. It's just not awesome for broke motherfuckers anymore. And it's not really awesome for people who don't have strong nationalities. Like if you're coming from a developing country, this is going to have a very big effect on you. Am I right?
Yes, correct. So compared to other countries, Vietnam is still a good place to live and to work with the reasonable price, beautiful size, and the people are friendly. Most of our people are friendly, and but everything needs a good understanding, knowledge, and reparations. And I could share with you, I have a lot of my clients and my friends. They have a very deep understanding regarding visa policy, even than me, but they still ask an agent to proceed with all the paperwork for them because they don't have time to do it with it.
Right. So some people just do it out of convenience. Like it's the same reason why people use us, guys, because they just don't want to deal with the problem, because there's a good chance sometimes when you try to deal with something yourself that the Vietnamese at immigration may not even talk to you. They may not even be willing to do anything, or they'll just tell you, oh, yeah, no problem, we'll take care of it. And it may never get taken care of. So sometimes it is important to have help, but it's just about how severe your situation is. If you're only overstaying a day or so, it's not a big deal compared to if you're overstaying for months. Am I right?
Yes, correct. And actually, you will hear a lot of advertisements that for many agents, I know this officer, I know that guys, I know the supervisor. Yes, every companies and every agent know an officer, but to know who could be the decision making is not easy out of the ability of most of the agents. And the good agent will ask you a lot of questions to know deeply about your case, then give you some solution. If you want to recognize the scammers, then they ask nothing but just ask you to pay a large amount of money without giving you any process or understanding or policy or regulation how to deal with your case.
Yeah, because really, guys, that's what I was trying to explain earlier in the video, is that when you talk about an agent, and I mean, we use the word a lot because an agent could be anyone who's a representative of you, right? I mean, but when I talk about agents, I very specifically mean visa agents, like the ones who, before the pandemic, they just did tours, they did every kind of visa, you just paid money and you got it. That's what I think is going to disappear, guys. More and more, you're going to need to deal with either serious consultancies like my business partner here, or you're going to have to go and take your chances with whatever you can find online, or word of mouth. I mean, you've got to be very careful. It's going to get more and more now where if you don't know what you're doing with Vietnamese law, there's no way you're going to be able to get a long-term visa. So it's going to be very suspicious if an agent really can't explain a clear process to you. Now, obviously, Vietnam does change and do things very dramatically and very quickly sometimes. So, that's not something that we have any control over or any agent has any control over. But there should always be a solution. There should always be some sort of a solution. So that's something I think, just free advice, that if you're going to do any kind of business out here, you want to find people who know how to find solutions to problems, because there's always going to be a problem.
Yes, do agree with you.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I just want to say, please smash the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Check out the description. We have some referral links that help us out. We have our Instagram on there. We have YouTube, which you may be seeing this on YouTube or Rumble, because we post to both. We're also on Rumble. So if you're watching this on YouTube, check out Rumble. We sometimes post extra videos on Rumble because, they don't censor the way that YouTube censors. So right now, the video that got my old channel taken down is up on Rumble. So I definitely suggest you guys check that out. I don't think you'll be able to miss it with the thumbnail. If you like this type of content, share it. You want to get the truth out about what's going on in Southeast Asia, hit us up, and try to get some clarity to you, and we can tailor make, whatever your situation is, we can tailor make a solution that will be able to take you from wherever you're at to wherever you're trying to go. If you want to live, work, do business in any of these countries around here, just, give me a holler. I also have contacts in Central Asia, so I can line up things like ESL employment and other, investment, things like this in Central Asia as well. China, we have some contacts for. Latin America, Mexico, Balkans. So basically, guys, if you need help getting started overseas and you feel like I'm someone you can trust, please reach out to me on any of the contact information in the description below. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my partner for coming out and speaking to us. And he's a very busy guy. He's managing a lot of different people's lives at the moment. So him taking time out of his day, we really appreciate it. And again, guys, I can't say it too much. YouTube hates me because I'm not woke and I don't fit the stereotype of like what they want a travel blogger to look like, or that they want someone, who's living more authentically. They want you to follow a formula. So by you sharing and liking the videos, you help us reach an audience. And for that, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Get at me if you need any help in any of these countries. Brush your teeth, stay in school, eat your vegetables, make sure to keep your fucking gums clean.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do. Are you thinking of living, working, or investing in Thailand? Thailand is an amazing country that's more open than it has ever been before. They're a country that's looking into the future and doing some really radical things. It's an amazing time to be in Thailand, and there is a tremendous amount of opportunities for somebody who has an open mind. Who you deal with in Thailand will determine your experience to a great extent. If you do business with the wrong people, you can end up losing money and even in legal trouble. We have the contacts that you need to help you get on your feet in this amazing country and avoid all kinds of drama and problems that could come about by doing business with the wrong people. If you're interested in investing, working, employment, contacts for visas, contacts for housing, contacts for real estate, we got you covered.